Living alone in the beginning of my 20s has been such a transformative period of my life. If I never lived alone in this apartment, I do not think that I would be the person in front of you today. For me, living alone has been one of the most soul searching, tedious, most difficult, yet most rewarding and most spiritual and most, I don't know, like meaningful period of my life. The past 1,000 or so days that I've spent within these walls, I've learned more about myself than I ever have in my life. And obviously, my full frontal lobe has also fully developed. So I feel as though that probably also has to do with some things. However, I just want to share with you guys today some of the lessons that I have learned in my 20s living alone because I did not know that living alone would affect me this much. This is going to be the last time you're ever going to see this background. And I'm also just kind of doing this video as like a little bit of a reminder to myself in the future when I do go back and like look at this chapter of my life. I am moving out of this apartment and I'm moving in with my boyfriend, and I'm so excited and just really looking forward to the next chapter and this new beginning that's going to happen with me and him. It's an exciting time. However, it's also kind of bittersweet because this place has really become home to me. I've created a home for myself, and I just kind of want to reflect on everything I've learned with my time here. I feel as though when I was younger, I really like fantasized about living alone in my very own apartment for the first time. I was so excited. I just wanted to have my own space to myself from such a young age, where I just wanted to decorate it and make it my own and live by my own rules and experience what it meant to be independent and to be on my own. It wasn't easy at first. Like, if there's something that I can say about living alone, is that there is a learning curve to living on your own and being alone, especially if you are, I don't know, similar to me, I guess. I've just learned a lot about myself. And before, when I was living with other people, having roommates in college, and living with my parents, I really liked to be around people. Like, I was the roommate that I feel like I was always sitting in the living room. I was never in my room. I always wanted to hang out. I was going into people's rooms and, like, you know, sitting down with them or out in the backyard, like trying to tan. I just wanted to be around people. I didn't really want to be alone. I kind of had like a hard time with it. Moving into my apartment, I was excited because I felt like it would just be an exciting time to be independent. However, I just didn't really realize just how isolated I was going to be when I first got here. And I really slipped into this period of time where I really struggled with my loneliness and my being alone in this apartment. I didn't really know what to do. I kind of like forgot how to reach out to people and to hang out with people and like ask for that one-on-one time, or to ask to do things when I was living with roommates. And I was already kind of going through like a period of time where I was kind of isolating myself a little bit, and then I moved into my apartment and it just went full force. And I definitely was not in the best headspace when I came into this apartment. So if I were to give a piece of advice to anyone who is moving into an apartment alone as a young 20-something-year-old woman, or whatever age, whatever gender you are, it's that when you move into an apartment and you're by yourself, you need to make sure that you are your best friend. Because for me, I feel like I fell into really bad habits very fast. Doom scrolling to pass the time while I was by myself. TV, just like looking at a million screens at once is something that I really I was really bad at. And I was really bad at like not leaving the house and making a effort to hang out with people. And I really just kind of swallowed myself into this isolation because it was so easy. Even though I was falling into these like bad habits, I also learned how to be in the comfort of my own presence and just being by myself. It's like when I realized that I was doing all of these bad habits just to like pass the time, I then was able to like look at those habits and be like, wait, this isn't good for me. I need to figure out something else. I need to do something different. And then I did. I ended up doing something different. I ended up taking care of myself and hanging out with myself more and doing things that kind of helps me pass the time a little bit better, like doodling or getting really into reading again or, you know, creating content with podcasting. I definitely started gaining better and better habits as time kind of went on. Living by myself made me realize a lot about myself and a lot of what I need in a day to day in order to keep sane, what I need to do in a week in order for me to take care of myself and to take care of what I need to take care of. Like, I have my weekly routine. I know what days of the week I'm going to clean certain parts of the apartment, or I know what I'm going to do in the morning to take care of myself and what I'm going to do at night to take care of myself. Because when I was with my roommates and like living with roommates beforehand, I had a great morning routine. Like, I slay the morning routine. Anyone knows I wake up early and I slay the morning. However, when it came to nighttime, I feel like I would just hang out with my roommates and just kind of not take care of myself before it came to bed. Whereas now I know what I need to do in order to like truly wind down for the night and prepare myself for the next day. And that's something that I wouldn't have learned if I had roommates. I had to learn how I need to take care of myself within every 24 hours as well as the week in order to make sure that my mind wasn't going to be cluttered and that I was taking care of myself like physically and mentally because I didn't have any other choice. I feel as though when I lived with roommates, it was really difficult for me to like want to take care of the actual living space because other people were living there as well. And I felt like I was trying to have like certain boundaries of how much I wanted to do in comparison to, you know, if people weren't taking care of their share of things. And also like sometimes I just really sucked at cleaning because of like my mental headspace. Like I didn't want to, you don't want to clean when your mental is in a bad place. However, sometimes cleaning your physical space makes your mental feel better. And that is definitely a lesson that became very, very, very clear to me when I moved into my apartment. I don't really think I understood the weight that your physical space has on your mental until I moved into my apartment. Because when I first moved in here, I was like, okay, like I'm probably just gonna be here for a year. I'll decorate a little bit, but I just like I don't really care that much. Like I'll probably end up moving. I've been here for 3 years. This wall is fully decorated. After my first year, I allowed myself to like fully decorate and fall in love just with my space and allow myself to make it a home. And for me, I decided I'm going to let it look like a rainbow threw up in here because this is the only time in my life that I'm probably going to be able to do that. I'm living by myself. I'm in my 20s. I'm going to make it fun and bright and colorful and represent just this fun period of my life that I am currently living because nothing matters. I don't care how colorful or funky or whatever it looks like. I don't need it to be super chic. I don't need it to like look like, you know, Architectural Digest. I am just young and I'm having fun, and that is what I want my space to look like. And I really was intentional with kind of curating my space to work the best for me and to be fun and representative of this period of my life. I feel as though if you are moving into your own space for the first time and it's like you and your solo apartment or wherever you're living, be really intentional with how you create your space and the energy that you want to bring into your apartment. Because for me, when I finally let myself be like, hey, I'm actually living here and I'm going to let myself decorate the way that I just want to. I don't care. Like, look at this. Like, literally, look at this. If you are listening to the audio, you can't see. But this is like this is what my apartment looks like. It's just a mesh of colors. And I love it. I'm so happy that I did that because whenever I look up there, I'm like, yeah, I love that. It's rainbows, it's colors, it's me, it's bright, it's fun, it's energetic, and it brings me energy bringing being in the space, especially when my space is clean. Tidy mind, tidy space, tidy mind, cluttered space, cluttered space, cluttered mind. Obviously you get it. I didn't really have to go into it like that. But that was a lesson I learned being here in my formative adult years. Now I know that whenever I move into another space, when I move into the space with my boyfriend, that I want to be intentional. That's not a word. I want to be intentional about the space that I create with him because I just know how important it was for me to curate this space to bring a certain energy into my life. I feel as though we are who we are surrounded by, but also what we are surrounded by. And so if your living space isn't personal to you, maybe you don't feel like you are with yourself in your own life. And for me, I have become my own friend by living on my own. I feel like before I lived alone, I didn't really know who I was. I didn't really use my voice. I didn't really have the best boundaries. I really didn't know how to communicate well. I'm still a work in progress. But I feel as though now that I lived alone and after I spent some time alone and became like my own friend and started nurturing myself, my life has become so much more clear and so much better because I've gotten to know myself extremely well. And I've gotten to look at, you know, the things that aren't me and evaluated them and evaluated like boundaries because I'm separate from everyone else. This is my own space. I don't have to share with anyone. I realized how much other people's energy and emotions affected me in a way that like genuinely isn't healthy. Like I don't have a healthy relationship or I haven't had and I'm still working, I still work in progress. I have a hard time with other people's emotions because I feel a certain responsibility for them. Who I am. That's just who I am. And when I had roommates, I felt that responsibility to a certain point where I felt like I was responsible for these people's emotions and how they were feeling and just sort of trying to be like the people pleaser, making sure the piece is whatever. Did I do a great job at that? Maybe, maybe not. I don't really know. I just realized how much energy and like mental strain that was having on me when I moved into my apartment and I like noticed that wasn't in my life anymore on like the day-to-day level. That was something I was really thankful to like look back and see is just like, okay, like, wow, I really let other people's emotions and energy really affect me like very deeply to like the point where I feel responsibility for them. And I was able to take a step back from that because I was living alone. So if you're someone who is like that, where you're kind of more of like a highly sensitive, like empathetic person, where you might feel responsible for other people's emotions, you might have a little bit of trouble with a little bit of codependency, I would recommend living alone, especially if you're a young adult, especially if you're any age of life, if you are struggling with that and you are living with roommates, I would try to figure out how you can live alone. Or maybe just, go to therapy and or journal about it and try to figure it out on your own. Because for me, when I started spending time with myself and living alone, I was able to look at all of the relationships and all of the dynamics in my life and see what was really serving me and see what wasn't. And I was able to grow and change into this person that I am right now. A lot of things have changed over the past 3 years because that's how life goes, but also because I've just changed. I've learned a lot of lessons because I've spent a lot of time with myself and I've spent a lot of time in self-reflection and I've been intentional about changing parts of myself. I didn't have as much time with myself and as much time to focus on just me when I was living with roommates as I do when I've been living alone. And so for me, living alone has really been like this journey to myself. That I spent a lot of my time like looking out there to find the answers. And I feel as though it wasn't until I truly, truly, truly looked within and I was able to do the work and I was able to like actually change and see my worth and just be able to be better to myself and be better to other people because of living by myself. Because I needed this space and time to be with myself and to learn all of these lessons that I have by being with myself in this apartment. And I will never forget these 3 years that I've spent in apartment 3. I will never. I literally remember like moving in. I live in San Diego. I live in Pacific Beach. And if you know anything about Pacific Beach in San Diego, it is a nightmare trying to find an apartment that has everything that you want. And I'm just sharing. This is like my experience of moving in. But it is a nightmare trying to find an apartment. I walked into this apartment and this wall that's like behind the camera right now has a beautiful paneling that I walked in and I saw and I fell in love with. I was like, oh my God, I've never seen anything like that in an apartment. That's amazing. It had all of the, things in an apartment that you would want, like a dishwasher and, like space. Like the layout of my apartment is honestly like great. And I walked in and I envisioned myself living here. Like I walked in and it felt so right to me. It felt like this was my home when I walked in. I was just so excited. Like I pictured where all of the furniture would be. I pictured how it would be for myself. And I call the people after, because it's like a virtual tour. It's like, like post COVID, it's a virtual, not a virtual, but it's a self-guided tour. And I call and I'm like, hey, I'm in the apartment. I want it. And they're like, well, you're third in line. And I'm like, shoot, I'm not getting this apartment. I'm not. But I don't know, like that's okay. Like I'll keep trying. I'll keep finding it. But like I didn't let myself get too sad about it because I was just like maybe it'll happen. Like maybe it's right. Like I have a good feeling, but like I'm sad that I'm like third because two other people have to like bow out and then it will be mine. I get a call 2 days later and they're like, oh, the first person bowed out. You're number 2 in line. And I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. I had toured other places and like nothing was the same as this apartment. It's just like nothing felt as right as this did. A day after that, or 2 days after that, maybe, I get the other call and they're like, the apartment is yours. And I cannot tell you how happy I was because I just knew that living in this apartment was going to be something great for me. I have always felt safe at this apartment. And for me, that is something that is like huge. For me, living in this apartment has honestly been a time in my life where I have felt so secure within myself and within life. And I am so, so, so thankful for the 1,000+ days that I've spent here and for the lessons that I've learned and for the memories that I've made. I've definitely tried my best to make this a sanctuary and to be appreciative for this time that I have had here. And I will never forget for the rest of my life living in this apartment. And I will probably tell my kids about how amazing it was living in Pacific Beach and enjoying this period of my life where I walked to the beach every day and I had my little coffee shops and my little food shops and I had my routine and all of the beautiful things that came with just living here. So, yeah. I don't know. If you are able to live by yourself, I highly recommend it. There is nothing like the transformation that happens when you live alone for the first time. It is honestly a very beautiful thing to experience and to do. And I have been fortunate enough that I have been able to do this. And I wouldn't take back a single second, a single day, a single minute. I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. I hope you enjoyed the lessons that I've learned while I have been living alone in my 20s. Next week, I will be with a different background because I will be in a different apartment with my love. And yeah, I'm really excited for everything that's to come ahead. I hope that it helped you or gave you some insight or inspired you to take a chance and to live on your own. All right, stay true to you. Bye.